Good evening, everybody. And the benefit of knowing that it's a sideways movement is we know there's not any severe selling breaking the downside, and we also know there's not any yet breaking the upside. So as long as it stays in this range, that puts us in a analytical situation to say, all right, they're not buying, they're not selling this market, it's moving sideways. So we can still be very utilize the scans to figure out which positions are trading the most positive and which positions are the most negative. So you can still have a mixture of both long and shorts in the position. But because there isn't any great fear like there was down here that maybe this market, I can remember back 2 days where everybody was talking about, maybe we're heading for a recession and we've only got a small pullback so far, but a 10% move would show normal pullback, and it could be as high as 20%, blah, 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 blah. The fact that we're still trading in the middle of this tells us we can be looking for long and short positions. Here's the NASDAQ. Again, kind of this wedge type formation. So things like crude oil, kind of the same scenario. It's just kind of flattened out here. And while we're here, we'll take a look at some of the other stuff. Gold, that's not the right gold. Gold just kind of hovering in here right now. And let me check down some of these others. Soybeans popped back up. You can see how, look at the typical. Came up through the 50, used the 50 as support, went right up to the next resistance level, the 200. So while we're here, we'll take a look at wheat, slow up trend. I haven't even looked to see what was going on in the hog market. Well, you can see what's happening here. Well, I'm not doing this right. Kind of a wedge formation. So if they break this down tomorrow, you've got a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 heading down much lower. Okay, so back to some of the positions we've got on. We can see what's happening in our Sting trade. I broke out through that level. Now, what's more relevant, though, is that we picked this one up down here with that very strong Doji Harami right on the 50, gap up, best friend through the T-line. And what did it do when it got to this level? Didn't stop. So what's that tell us? That's probably wave 3 is in progress. So I'm going to skip ahead, or maybe not. That was the reason for the recommendation on GNK, left-right combo, bullish confirmation off the 200. So if you're looking at all this, it's basically telling you that the transportation shipping stocks are all coming up. And when that happens, that just adds a little bit more credibility that you're in a right sector. So at this point, maybe, whoops, that's not it. I do this wrong. Well. I think it's DSSI. Salt, there's your Morningstar signal. Where's your next likely target? Up here. Or breaks out to that level up here. So when you can see that there's a lot of strength in a specific sector, that just adds that stars and alignment analysis that if the market's not going down and the sector is showing good strength, then you can go to the specific stocks in the sector and see which ones have the strongest price move. And the advantage is, if you see a chart like this in a declining sector, now you have to ask yourself, is this just a bounce, somebody covering shorts, or is this a reversal in that particular stock versus when a good number of the stocks in that sector are going up? That's a pretty good indication that somebody's out there buying that sector, or a lot of people are out there buying that sector. So again, just puts the probabilities in your favor. We've got a few that are just kind of steady eddies. HOV, staying above the T-line ever since your slow curve breakout. SMAR is one that we had suggested the other day because of the Morningstar cradle type pattern. Now the definition to me between a Morningstar or a cradle, Morningstar has one or two indecisive days and a big up day. 3 or more, it becomes a cradle pattern. But in each case, is a sector transo works or other? I think it's just transportation or, is that what you're trying to, transportation, and I'm sure it will be broken down into specific transports. And in this case, it's more specific. It's the oil tanker companies that are working well. But remember what happened on Friday when we recommended this stock because of that pattern? It opened and traded lower. So did that mean this was not a good trade? No, remember, we said if it came back up through today's or that day's open, Friday's open, I told you that was consolidation, we're still heading up. So that's just kind of something to watch. But even if you see something, and somebody was asking about that today in the chat room, if you see something opening positive and then it backs off, what is the result of that? Well, unless it does something that negates that signal, that's just profit taking. Maybe you don't get into that position that day, but watch to see if that profit taking was just a one-day profit taking, that the result of the signal itself is going to continue. We also were able to identify this very indicative or insightful signal. Whenever you have a down day and they gap it up and do a doji, get ready to buy in positive trading. Now, so far, it hasn't confirmed what we would suspect it doing, which is a big bullish candle, the same magnitude as this, giving you a bullish flutter kicker, which again is a very strong reversal signal. So when you see something like that, know that if it opens positive tomorrow on PFNX, you want to be buying immediately. Now you have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 starting once again with a bullish flutter kicker if it opens positive off the 50. Where's your next likely price move? Whoops, way up here somewhere. Magnitude of that wave right there. Just a high probability trade setup that you can recognize getting ready for it. So left-right combo, doji sandwich, ARWR. Still a very good chart now. It's come up through the 50. Except it's not up in the overbought area yet. So that would imply there's probably some more upside to this before any profit taking occurs. Now, we recommended TLRA because of the potential of a McMuffin, a morning star signal, followed by a big day, a doji. If it started trading positive today, which it eventually did, now you've got a doji sandwich or your McMuffin. Morning star followed by a doji sandwich or a morning sandwich. The implication is, if this is one of your 12 major signals reversal, and we know a doji sandwich implies more upside, when you add the two together, gives you an extremely high probability you're in the right place at the right time. We recommended VHC the other day because of the kicker signal, and notice where it's pulled back to, right here to the T line. Now, should we have closed it out, closing below the halfway point? Now, you got to remember, a kicker signal is a dramatic change of investor sentiment. You usually give it a little bit more leeway. Now, if this had closed below the T line today, that would have told us to close it out. But right now, it looks like all it's done is consolidated back to the T line. Get ready to buy this on positive trading because of that kicker signal. Weibo, kind of a bullish doji sandwich. Wave 1, wave 2, looking like wave 3 could take you up into this area. Crocs was another one where it's gotten right here. So we know what should happen at this point. They open this positive, they're breaking out into wave 3. You can still be buying this one on the breakout, even though your stochastics are up here in the overbought area. Where did I go here? Okay, Apron. Another one where it opened positive and closed down here after, look at all the indecisive trading right here on the 50 and then bullish confirmation. You can still be buying this one aggressively on a positive open tomorrow because of this right here. So if they came up through the 50, they pulled back and supported on the 50, and they start back up, where do you think the next target's going to be? Probably up here, kind of the same length as this wave right here. Is that worthwhile? Well, if you can buy this at 9.20 and it goes to 12.70, that's a decent rate of return. Blue, another one where you just stay with it. Now, somebody said, well, I got stopped out today when it came back below the T line. The reason if you stopped out, you have two alternatives here. Or you have two alternatives if it's coming back below the T line. One, if it comes back up, you buy it back because it didn't close below the T line. Or two, because you're still not in the overbought area, you just started a buy signal, you still have to give this the benefit of the doubt that without being up in the overbought area, just have to, if you sat here and watched it, you'd have to wait for it to come back up above the T line. So that's to say, with it that earlier, still not in the overbought area, I might not have had a stop here. Or if I did have a stop, then I saw it turn around and come back up, probably would have bought right back into it. Now, that's all kind of a subjective analysis. So you have to kind of learn what happens, especially this right here, this criteria. But if you're not in the overbought area, probably give the trend a little bit more leeway. That was what? That was blue. Winnebago. Now, you had a kicker type signal. It stayed above the T-line, but today it closed below the T-line. So just on a functional analysis, that's not the right word, just on a logical analysis, what should be happening after a kicker-type signal off the 50? It should be heading up. The fact that they hovered here and then closed below the T-line, what's that pretty much telling you about your trend? It's not there. Close out the position. Now, see, Carnival, you stay short, but notice what's happened down here in the oversold area. Spinning top, doji. I would still be ready to stop out, especially now, above this level in the oversold, because that would tell me, I moved a good distance away from the T-line. I'm in the oversold area. I've got indecisive trading. If they start trading this positive, I want to close out my short position. FDP, the bigger the signal, doji confirmation, just stay short, but and you're not in the oversold area. So I'd probably have my safety stop up here above the previous day's open. And there's nothing, I want to say, concrete about that. I'm looking at, and I'm getting close to the oversold area. I'm starting to see a hammer, doji, but we're not still suspecting we're coming down to the 50 or this level. But if it starts showing some strength, better close it out, because that would have been 2 indecisive trading days, now showing some strength. Probabilities have gone against us. Closed out the most of this position over here and kept probably less than half a position. But here's another clear illustration that as long as they can't close above the T-line, you stay short. AXL. Another one that if it had closed back up above the T-line, you closed it out, you stay short on AXL. SPB. Recommended going short because if it kind of came down through this level after kind of your rollover and your failure of the T-line, if it broke this level, what do we got going? Wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3. Where's my stop on this one now? I wouldn't want to see it trade back up above this level. That would show too much strength. Definitely would not want to see it close back up above that level. All right, some of the biggies. It's really not a whole lot going on. Tesla, sideways. NVIDIA came out of the chute today pretty strong, but notice where it ran into trouble. Right there. So what's that tell us? Well, if they open this lower tomorrow, which would probably be also a function of the market in general, you want to close it out if you're long, because it did fail up here. So instead of having a J-hook pattern breakout, now looks like you have a double top. That's not where you want to be long anymore. Netflix, that one's showing a little bit of resiliency. This one might have the prospect of coming back up to the 50. So if I was going to look at this tomorrow, or trade this tomorrow on positive trading, it might be more of a spread. Maybe buying the 280, selling the 290, seeing what the numbers look like on that one. And Amazon, another one that really isn't gotten started. Short, but I wouldn't be long. Apple had prospects of breaking out today, pretty much through this level, but then notice what happened. It closed back down in that level. That tells me if I'm long, it better open positive and trade positive tomorrow. If it opens lower, same scenario. It resisted that kind of a obvious resistance level. You want to be out of that trade until you see something strong again. Nugget. Nothing going on there. And Labu, having a little bit of difficulty getting up through the T-line. Okay, so some interesting charts, look at the belt holds on ENV. That makes for a prospective buy. Left-right combo, belt hold. And remember what the criteria is for a belt hold or the results of a belt hold. Indecisive buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers, and bam. The sellers get out, and then the bulls stop up any more selling, which means there's less sellers in the way, so any buying from here doesn't have sellers to run into. Now, there's a bunch of fry pan bottoms that are working nicely. Look at this one, hammer, doji, left-right combo, and look where we are right now, kind of right here at a breakout level. So if this one opened positive, let's make this smaller. That has a good prospect of breaking out to the upside. So we're looking for things that have a high probability. Here's another one that closed back below this level. However, if this opened positive tomorrow, you might want to be a buyer. And Daku closed right there. So you got a little fry pan bottom, J-hook pattern. Makes this very simple. If this opens positive, we could be in a wave 3 of that magnitude. So we will be looking at probably some option strategies on that one tomorrow morning, depending on how the market opens. SOGO, same scenario. More of a stock trade because it's trading in the $5 range, $6 range, $5 range. But you can see where it stopped. So if it opened positive tomorrow, look for that type of move. ASC. I was pointing this one out today because of the fry pan bottom and your best friend gap up starting the uptrend. But notice the relevancy of today's trading. If that could be construed as your fry pan bottom breakout area, what did they do? They gapped up above that level and went that way. What did that tell you about that resistance level? It wasn't there anymore. That puts us in a good prospect of wave 3. So anytime you see something setting up and they gap it up through the resistance level coming out of a pattern, that gives you an extremely high probability that not only are you going to be in the right direction, but the magnitude of that return is going to be fairly substantial. All right, so the McMuffins look at our kind of our Morningstar left-right combo McMuffin right here. That's the results. McMuffin. Morningstar signal followed by a doji sandwich. That's our expected result. That was the reason for our recommendation today on TLRA. Morningstar signal. Positive trading told us we had a McMuffin. Now what do we expect from this level? Probably more upside. So here is a good setup. There's our Morningstar signal. Today, if you saw it start trading positive, somebody was asking, when do you get into a McMuffin? Well, the first thing you want to do is if you find the McMuffin or the doji sandwich setup, now you're looking for positive trading the next day. So you could be buying in here, or now that we know we have a McMuffin that closed above the T line, you can be buying on positive trading from this level. Kiwi. There's your Morningstar type signal. There's your doji. So that one's already set up. But if this opens positive tomorrow, you can be buying immediately, because what is our expectation? Well, if it opens positive, we know it's going to trade positive. Two, if it opens positive, more than likely it's going to do the same magnitude move as this. And if it closes up here, what's that also telling us? Pretty much telling us that they've broken through this downtrend, that you've got another wave to the upside starting. The cradle patterns. There's our little cradle pattern, closed right on the T-line. If this opens positive, IOTS, a high probability that at least they're coming back up here. Second target is coming up here to fill the gap. Look at where Kemet, it's kind of a cradle pattern right here off the 200. Now they've gapped it up. Now you're watching to see if it's going to get out through this level, also putting you into wave 3. So if this opens positive tomorrow, got a good prospect that it's going up, then you just watch to see if it can get through this level. So everything that we're learning or watching tells us, all right, we got a reversal pattern. We've got a doji. We know the doji rule. We know what our next wave could be. So it's just kind of adding everything up, that it's not real terrible logic to say, if you can add all these little things together, it puts you in positions where the probabilities are extremely strong that you're in the right place at the right time. So we recommended SWAV because of the cradle pattern. It didn't do anything. It did a doji. Aha! If it opens positive tomorrow, what do we got as a prospect? A doji sandwich after a cradle pattern. Puts us in a high probability we're heading for here or heading up here to fill the gap. SGH, cradle pattern. You can start watching to buy this one. And ZS, somebody pointed this out, because I didn't really recognize it, but there's your cradle pattern, there's your doji sandwich. That has a lot of upside potential. Or this is why we kind of recommend people finding patterns that you can identify or watch. Notice what happened on Tupperware. As it came up through the 50, pulled back to where? Right back to the 50, did a Morningstar signal. Now where is it trading? Oops. Right there. And if it opened positive tomorrow, what's it telling us? It's probably breaking out into the next wave, at least coming back up here to top of the channel. So this is, let's see, we did all the, right now, what is more, more bullish than the overall market, even though it's in the sideways mode, is that we're getting a lot of charts that are showing some good strength. Overstock. Shouldn't be short, you shouldn't be long, but you've got kind of a double doji sandwich. This could have a bounce. There's a gap right here, putting you in the right direction. That would, if that came up to that level, that would still be a 20% return, 25, 40% return. Got some good upsides in this one. And F-slide. Look at all the bullish trading here. Indecisive. Left-right combo. If this starts trading positive, I'm telling you, this downtrend's broken. At least that makes your next target, and if it breaks through there, you're then also in a wave 3. AYX, Doji Sandwich. Where's your next likely target? Good option trade. CDNA, little slow curve breakout, staying above the 50. Likely target the 200 at this point. And OSUR, little scoop type pattern. And where did it do all this? Right smack dab off the 50. So where do you think everybody else is watching now? Next target, 200-day moving average. Let's see, this one had something on it. Oh, kicker type signal. At least look for this at 50 as a target. And left-right combo. Look at your doji, shooting, or inverted hammer, doji, doji, doji. Where's the next likely target? Up here. So there's lots of good trade setups occurring right now, both on the long side as well as the short side. Would be ready to short this one. Notice how it keeps failing this is PBR, failing at the T-line and the 50. Gap to fill here, could come all the way back down here. And I was one that we were going to go after the other day, but it opened positive. And just like we had mentioned on, the fact that it traded positive, we could still short it if it came back down through Friday's open, which it did. Or get ready to short this one on weakness. Still on this from this level. ATHM was another one that didn't execute the other day, but now it's broken this little support level. You can be ready to short this one on a bearish doji sandwich tomorrow. And cheesecake, a lot of the restaurants were showing weakness. They came back today, which restaurant, I forget which it was. But this one, notice where it's kind of trading right now. But if this opens lower, giving you a bearish doji sandwich, it's probably heading down into this territory. And SPWR, here's a good example of if you're short, you covered the short position. Now look what happened. Big selling. Where do you start going short? Well, you break down in this area because what did it tell us today? They couldn't get up above the T-line. It failed. Still would have a likelihood that it's coming here to the 200-day moving average just based upon that weakness showing you they couldn't get above the T-line. Same scenario on Wayfair. Would have covered the short positions in here with the expectation that it was going to come up and test the T-line, which it did, and then it failed. So if it starts trading back below this level, that's a pretty good indication we got a wave 1, wave 2, going into wave 3. Blackstone, same scenario. Comes down through this level, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, and what would wave 1 and wave 3 have as a target? More than likely down here for the 200-day moving average. So we've got quite a few positions. A few of them that these are probably what you're going to see on our recommendation tomorrow. If this one opens positive, giving you a bullish doji, bullish flutter kicker, you want to be buying. And we recommended SWAV. Today it didn't execute, but if it opens positive tomorrow, get ready to buy this coming out of the cradle pattern, and a doji sandwich making this area or this area your first target. And the other one that I'll probably be recommending is Maxar, the morning McMuffin. This one has, if it even comes back up to this level, that's still going to be a good 25% upside and possibly head up higher than that. As far as weak ones, I and SPWR are good prospects for going short. So right now, because the market itself is in an indecisive state, or trading range, but the difference versus a couple of days ago is right now you don't have the ultimate fear factor that if it came down through this level, it might be heading down big time. As long as we're up in here and don't come back down through this level, I would think that maybe you see it bounce around in here. But until we get out of this trading range one way or the other, that still means you want to have some longs and some short positions on in this market. So with that, are there any general questions on candlesticks? Could you walk us through why you selected 950 for today? Oh, nothing more, John, than just looking at it on the basis of, and this is mostly oriented toward seeing that the market is confirming, number one, that we didn't want to see the market falling out of bed. But if it came back up through the 950 area, closed at 942, but if it came up that far, more than likely they were confirming this signal. I could have picked 952. I could have picked 948. I just want to find an area that says, all right, this is telling me that if they're still buying it, that would be a good place to get in. On McMuffin setups, once you see it, you are buying immediately into a positive open on a final candle, yes. So which one were we looking at? Suave. If this opens positive tomorrow, meaning probably at least back up above where it opened. It opened today at 32.09. Let's say it gaps up a little bit to 32.12 and starts trading positive. I'm going to be buying immediately. So it's Kiwi. If this opens up positive tomorrow, closed at 22.14. Let's say it opened at 22.20 and it started moving up, I'd be buying it immediately. Now on something like Maxar, because I didn't see it today, if it starts trading positive tomorrow, I'll be buying that because that would be confirming the existing signal. That makes sense? Because what do we want to see after a reversal signal? Well, first of all, if it hasn't confirmed yet, we're looking to see what would confirm it. We know that would be a positive open would help us or tell us right away. Now, this one opened lower and probably traded lower. But then when it turned around and started trading positive, what could we be seeing after this doji? That it's starting to turn green. That's when you could start looking to see if you want to be buying it at that point. If I was buying Maxar, more than likely the T-line is going to be up here. I probably wouldn't want to see it close back below the T-line. I definitely wouldn't want to see it close back below the halfway point of this candle, because what did this candle tell us? That this was the confirmation of our doji sandwich. So if it came back down through the halfway point, which also would look like it would be closing below the T-line tomorrow, yeah, I'd close it back out. It didn't turn out to be a good trade. But also remember, the prospects or the probabilities of it going positive from here is extremely strong. That's why we'd be looking at any strength in the first place. Now, does that mean you won't have some that come back and close down here? That's why we call it high probability. It's not high guarantee. The other thing to look for is they open it positive and immediately start selling it off. It may come back down to the T-line. We already know this is a positive signal. So there's a lot of times where if they come down, let's say the T-line was trading right here and you saw it hit the T-line, now you flip to your 10-minute chart. And if the 10-minute chart is showing that it's supporting right at the same level the daily chart is supporting on the T-line, now you start looking to maybe buy it here. They're going to take it back up. And why would we think they're taking it back up? Because this whole signal tells us we should be in an uptrend. Okay, I guess with that, Jim, go ahead and do the double line. And in 4.1 seconds, do the next double line. CVM is a slow, steady uptrend. Another doji or McMuffin type setup. If this opens positive tomorrow, you can be buying it immediately. Delta, nothing. Probably at this point I wouldn't be long or short. United, you could be buying this one. It's just not a great chart, but at least expect coming up to the moving averages, and you can see you have kind of a wedge formation here, so eventually up into this area. It's just not a great trading chart. And Goldman, another one that if it opened positive, at least you have the prospects of a McMuffin, which means you'd probably be heading up to test the T-line again and hopefully getting through that area. Zillow, that one is buyable. I have a doji sandwich breakout. So you're buying this one on positive trading tomorrow. Don't let it close back below the T-line. KPTI, bullish engulfing, right smack dab off the 50. You can still be buying this one on positive trading. Don't let it close back below the T-line. AMAG, little slow curl, slow curve, doji, bounce off the 50. If it opens positive, it's confirming, and then I would suspect that would be your next target, up at about the 1450 range. Donnelly, you can be buying this one on positive trading also. Kind of your bobble breakout to the upside. First target would probably be back up here around 420. If you're buying on positive trading tomorrow, just don't let it close back below the T-line. AVYA has had some strong trading. If you're long, boy, I'd have a safety stop at today's open. Now you're right at a obvious resistance level, the 200, and it hit this level. It better trade positive to stay long. If it starts trading lower tomorrow and I was long, I'd take profits. And always watch to see if it comes back up through the 200. Gold, if you're looking at Barrick Gold, nothing really there. if you're looking at gold, this is the October contract, not really going anywhere. Kind of stuck sideways. Willow, you can buy this one on positive trading also as long as it stays above the T-line. CRWD, that one's a good double doji gap up. Stay long on this. First target right here is to break this little resistance, then you're heading for the 50. Disney, not a very dynamic chart. You can be buying it on basically a McMuffin on positive trading tomorrow, which would then kind of tell you it's heading toward the 50, which means this is probably a good spread setup. You buy maybe the 132 and sell the 135s. The VIX, get ready for a bearish doji sandwich if the market opens positive tomorrow. Yeah, we did AMAG, we did Goldman, AMD, still just not a very dynamic chart. If you see even today you couldn't get back up above the T-line, I wouldn't be trading this one just because there's not enough movement in it. There's no real direction right now. I'd be someplace else. And Micron, kind of the same scenario. When it got slammed, what do we do if you were buying here, watching to see what happens once it gets to the T-line? If this opened lower tomorrow, if you had gone long and it opens lower tomorrow, I'd close it out. That's pretty much telling you the T-line's acting as that resistance level. And ABEO, make this bigger. You can get ready. Any positive trading from here has to get up through the 50. There's a wee little teeny gap right there. So you can be buying this one on strength. I imagine this is a good big volume trader. If I'd probably want to see more confirmation that it could get through those levels. Oops, that's not what I want to do. Trying to base. If you're short, you stay short. But with a hammer, a doji, a spinning top, if this opened positive tomorrow, 4 days of buying or supporting, especially right here at this level, I'd probably cover short positions. I wouldn't go long until they can show they can get it up through the T-line. United Air. Yeah, just watch to see what happens if it bounces up to the T-line and the 200. CDR, Utility Trust, still has to get up above the T-line and then watch to see what it does once it gets here to the 200. Yeah, that's still an indecisive chart. Power shares. It has to open positive if you're long to stay long. If it opened lower, you really don't have any direction to speak of. I'd have my money someplace else. The SPGI, the S&P Global, trying to get up through the T-line. If it does, you had a bullish Harami gap up. Now you're just barely above the T-line, but it definitely has to open positive heading for this direction. If it opens lower, it's pretty much telling you the T-line's acting as a resistance. December gold. Oh, I can do it right here. ECA Z9. Yep, it's dropping down. So you can see the trend. There's your trend channel. So it's not anything you'd want to be positive right now. Okay. Still some good opportunities out there. And I would definitely continue to move with the ones that have high prospects of moving in the right direction based upon how they open tomorrow. Okay, everybody. Whoops, we're actually done before 9 o'clock. That's unusual. We'll see everybody bright and early in the chat rooms tomorrow. We'll see you then.